This video is sponsored by Squarespace. Finding your style is arguably the hardest part of photography. The pathway to this is through self-assessment, but that can be confronting and difficult. There is a fine balance between creating a distinctive style that one can become known for, whilst also not becoming too repetitive and risk churning out the same work over and over. The journey to finding your style isn't a straight line, and it unfolds for all of us in different ways. The pursuit of photographic style and voice is one that never ends, so we must enjoy the parts we learn about ourselves along the way. The one thing I know that I can confidently say has helped me find my style is practice and consistency. Making videos almost every week for a few years now and photographing so often has allowed me to wade through what is a phase and what is true to my vision and style as a photographer. I'm still on the style journey, but I am proud to have a few key things that are mainstays when it comes to creating photos. This video invites you to unpack your own photography and comb through your work to find the themes, tropes, crutches, and possible blind spots so you can move forward aware of your patterns and preferences, knowing which ones to embrace and those to avoid.
Something I did recently as a self-assessment tool for my photography was create my very own starter pack. Now, if you don't know what a starter pack is because you haven't been spending a lot of time online, it's like a meme. I'm sure that you would have seen them before. There's, goth girl starter pack, indie girl starter pack, film photographer starter pack. There are a lot of fun, film photography guy, film bro ones out there. And I'm not a huge meme fan or anything, but I do find these quite funny. So I thought I'd do one for myself because it's good to not take yourself too seriously. So I'm gonna pop mine up here so you can see the things that I've added on my starter pack, and you can tell me below if there's anything you think I should add. I've added a couple of things that for viewers of the channel who regularly tune in, you will definitely be like, yeah, that's something that you do or say or wear. But I didn't make this starter pack just for fun or for lols. I made it to inform the rest of today's video. I'm using this starter pack as a way to look over my work and my style and hopefully help you in turn to look at your own style and kind of deconstruct it, work out what it is and what are the things within it that represent your photography. And then reflecting on that and going, is that really what I want my photography to be? Often in photography, we can be informed by things we see online or we see other photographers, whether they're past or present, doing them. We then go out and replicate that or kind of think that it's what we should be photographing. I'd probably say it's harder than ever now to create your own personal style because we are so flooded with imagery online and there's just images coming at you from every single angle and it kind of feels like everyone's a photographer now. So this exercise doesn't have to be done in this starter pack meme way. It could just be a list that you make out and you highlight all of the themes and things in your work that you're seeing that repeat, taking that even further with what kind of message do you want your work to bring across, if at all, because you might be like me, where you're more of a visual graphic kind of person and there's not really a message behind your photography per se. So today we are gonna walk and talk. I'm shooting with my Fuji X-E1, which is really fun. So we're gonna walk and talk about my tropes and then how you guys can apply this exercise to your own photography to help you find your photography style. So let's go. This whole area is definitely something that's a constant for me in terms of lines, angles, patterns, shapes. I'm always looking for those types of things and they're a theme in my work. And I think that that's probably a theme in a lot of photographers' work, but trying to look over your photos and see what things that you can constantly see that you're gravitating towards and then reassessing from there. Are you just repeating them for the sake of it being lazy? Because I know I can do that when I'm on a walk and I see things I've already photographed before that are similar. I think, oh, okay, that's low-hanging fruit. It's really easy for me to grab, get a shot. And that's great if you want to kind of get the ball rolling or build up some confidence. But I think in terms of building out a body of work and a style that's a bit more serious, I think it's good to avoid things that are really easy and push yourself a little bit or kind of go further than the thing that's just right in front of you that will be a good shot. as we were walking up here, I saw like an old VW bug, and shooting old cars, classic cars on film is a real trope. And I am definitely someone who does that. There's nothing wrong with it at all. I have a whole folder on my website called Cars on Film, and those prints sell really well for me. And I do enjoy it. And I think it's, fine to take a photo if you see something cool or it looks good and you want to photograph it. But lately I have been shying away from that as much, just because I do feel like, it looks cool, but I've kind of semi-exhausted that type of work, and I just want to be pushing myself a little bit more, or more being focused in on the other style of work on my website. That's this project called Tiny Observations. I feel like there's more scope in that. So let me know below like what you guys think, because I know a lot of film photographers love to shoot cars, and I am by no means telling people to stop doing that. But I think when you are reflecting on your work and trying to get together like a body of work for an exhibition or a portfolio, it's important to think of those things and be a little bit more critical and analytical of your subject matter and how that fits into your style and like the longevity of it as well. Something that features heavily in my Lucy Lumen starter pack is like traffic cones, construction elements, bins, like hard rubbish, and just found objects, I guess. These are, to me, really interesting to photograph, and I like often the colors. Like, it's a really good place, really good way to find bright colors in an urban area where there might not be a lot of color. This is 100% a trope of mine, and it's something I try to be a little bit more choosy and picky with, because you do kind of see a lot of traffic cones, and if you just photograph traffic cones or like abandoned trolleys and bins, it can get a little bit tired, I think. So I do try and pick out specific ones that I feel are particularly spectacular. Or like this one here with it being placed next to the yellow line on the grass, just felt like a good trio of colors together and a nice composition just like waiting to be had. So I try and just be a little bit more choosy when I can see that I am repeating something a lot. And this is something that you guys can go over your work after you've watched the video, and you can like look out and kind of maybe even tally up like how many times something's featuring in your work, and is it becoming repetitive and overdone and kind of like tired and boring, or is it becoming really impactful, and are you able to capture it in different ways that are always interesting and new, or like relatively new, or is it just kind of you repeating the same theme over and over again? And I think that's probably the hardest thing as photographers to find in terms of style, is you want to be recognizable, and you want someone to look at your work and say, oh, I can tell that that's a photo taken by blah, blah, blah. But then you also don't want to be at risk of just repeating the same thing all the time, getting stuck, or getting like typecast for that one thing. So I like to build on my like tropes and my starter pack, which you can create for yourself too. But then I also like to be veering off on these kind of like photo side quests, dipping a toe into like, oh, what would it look like if I did street photography? What would it look like if I did portraiture? Just to keep things fresh, because then you might pick something up that you can bring into the starter pack that will like elevate it and make it new. So just keeping an open mind whilst also focusing in, which sounds contradictory and it's difficult, but I think it's really important as an artist who wants to have a sustainable career or like longevity in what you're doing.
Boo.
Hello, sorry. I self-identify as a film photographer most of the time, but today I'm shooting with my XE1, and ironically, this has been my best performing video on the channel with the XE1, and all of my best performing videos are digital, so there you go. But in terms of shooting film, I think that you have to be a little bit more selective. Well, if you're not worried about money, you don't have to be, but I tend to find that helps me to hone my style because it helps me to just naturally be a little bit more picky just from an economical point of view. So this scene here, I immediately was like, oh, cool, I'll shoot that because I know I've shot it before and it's looked good, like these spiky palm trees against like a kind of older looking style apartment. But really, do I need that photo? Like, what's that adding? Is it furthering anything? Is it adding to the other photos? Kind of feels like I'm just repeating something I've already shot. So especially on film, I wouldn't take it. I might take it on digital, but then even then it just leaves me with this like lackluster feeling of like, oh, I can find something better than that. And I think as photography is a solo practice, a lot of the time you do have to be hard on yourself and hold yourself accountable to like go and look further or like walk a bit more or, find something else that's new because you can just easily get stuck in that kind of like repetitive trap. This whole exercise kind of came about when I was whittling down my portfolio as I pitched to more and more brands and try and get a really concise body of personal work together as well and showcase it on my website. And I think just the act of making a website really makes you stop and think about what your strongest images are. And I've been helping people with portfolio reviews lately and been adding on a little service of looking at their website and helping them pick out the images that are going to bring across their best work online. This process of curation with a website really forces you to sit down and look at your work. And I think it's probably one of the best reasons to have a website. If you're a photographer and you want to showcase your work in a beautiful way with customizable templates, then Squarespace is the perfect place to do it.
I've been a customer of Squarespace for 2 years now, and I couldn't imagine my photography being displayed any other way. It's so empowering to update my own website with the simple visual design tools that engage visitors and keep them on my site for longer. I love how up-to-date and modern the options are when I want to refresh or update my website. I recently changed the font and washed the page with this on-brand orange color, and I've been getting so much good feedback from people online who visited my site. I held off having a website for a while as I didn't want something basic and bland, and I was worried because I'm no website builder, trust me. But getting started with Squarespace was so easy. I just chose one of their professionally designed website templates and then customized from there. Photographers have so many layouts to choose from for displaying and categorizing your work, and there is so much flexibility and room to grow with a Squarespace site. I love that this isn't just a place to put my photography and portfolio though. At the beginning of the year, I started offering digital downloads and presets, and I love how easy and seamless the process is for me and my customers. With the online store feature, I can also sell my services, which have been so popular, I am actually booked out till the end of the year. It feels so good to have control over my income and my website with Squarespace. Interested in trying it for yourself? Head to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, go to www.squarespace.com/Lucy Lumen to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Links are in the description to get your website up and running today.
Something else that features in my starter pack is buttloads of direct flash or on-camera flash, and that's something that I feel is really synonymous with my work. Obviously, I didn't invent direct flash, but I think it's a really good creative tool, and it can open up the scope of like where you can shoot as well as the way that it looks. I've really embraced things like a heavy like vignette on a point and shoot camera. I know that that's something that not a lot of people want, or they don't see the value in it, but I'm taking those things and then making them really part of my aesthetic and style as a photographer. So for you, I think kind of mapping out this like personality for you as a photographer, like I think my work is a really good reflection of who I am as a person. You know, I like to talk a lot. I like wearing a lot of color. I like to be noticed. And I think that my photography is very similar in that way. It's full of color. You know, I like film because I like old vintage things. And yeah, it just feels like it links up nicely with my life and my personality. So that could be another great activity for you to do, of like looking at how your work represents like you as a person as well as just your art. I did a photo walk recently with my local community, which was really fun. And a couple of the people that were there were regular viewers of the channel. And one guy put it so perfectly, shout out to you, John, if you're watching. He said that I opt for kind of coming off to the side and shooting things on the side on like a weird kind of unconventional angle to make them look a little bit off, as opposed to just capturing something straight on, which I think a lot of photographers do that. So it was really interesting to hear someone else talk about your photography. So as part of this exercise, I would really encourage you to enter like your local community and do like photo walks or meetups, join up with those things, and then be able to chat with other people physically and see how they're physically moving, taking photos. They can then give you feedback. And it's just so great to actually be with people with the cameras, talk to them about style and all aspects of photography, because online we're only really getting like the finished product. We're not getting the process. So that's something that I definitely do, is coming at things from an angle, whether it's like physically going down like this and coming at it like that. But what I notice often is I just come to the side and shoot it like side on. And just the way that I can frame then makes the composition look abstract, makes the object look abstract, where you have to take a second look and go, oh, what's that? And that's definitely in my starter pack. So feel free to give it a go if that's something that you haven't tried before. This is a great example of what I was talking about. And instinctually for me, I'm just immediately coming off to the side to capture this. Whereas I feel like a lot of photographers would be coming front on, like that very deadpan front on kind of more traditional composition, I guess, which does really work. And I do sometimes if I think that things need to be layered in that way. But I just much prefer coming over here, and then I can get the palm tree in the background as well. And it just makes it, I don't know, I think it makes it more interesting. I feel like a lot of aspects of my photography are quite unconventional, and I think that's because I haven't had any formal training or done anything really. I've always just enjoyed it, done it myself, and done what I think looks good. And I think there's a little bit of kind of ignorance that is on my side with that, because I, in the beginning, didn't know like when the good times to shoot were, like as in golden hour, blue hour, those sorts of things. I just went out when I could get out, and that was often around midday or when the sun was really high and harsh, especially here in Australia, it's very sunny. So that kind of accidentally became part of my style and is something that I definitely still do. I have tried to shoot at other times of the day and it just doesn't really give me what I want. So harsh, midday sun, I love the way colors really pop. I love the shadows and just the harshness of it all. And I think film handles highlights really well too. So it works with the medium that I choose. So I think if you are somebody who shoots a lot and waits for really good light because maybe you are more technical of a photographer than I am, try and go out at other times that you wouldn't normally, even going out at night and then using the flash, just creating environments for yourself that are new and that keep you interested in photography, even if you don't make that part of your style. Like there's no pressure to do that, but just the act of practicing it and seeing what it's like, it gives you empathy for other styles of photography. You know, something might just click where you're like, oh, I loved that aspect and I'm going to bring that into my work. So give it a go. Some extra little bits in the Lucy Lumen starter pack that aren't anything to do with photography are sunglasses. I am like a massive sunnies fan. I love a good pair of sunnies. So I think that would have to be in the starter pack. And then bag and shoes. So kind of accessories. I'm an accessories gal and I love to have like a crossbody bag on while I'm shooting so I can keep all my things in there and it doesn't get in the way or fall off my shoulder. and comfy shoes, but they got to be stylish too.